A number of people have been jailed for more than a century after a £1 million drugs line was busted by officers. The court results follows a complex investigation into the supply of Class A drugs into the Chesterfield and Sheffield areas, which began back in 2022. Almost 20 kilograms of cocaine and a 9mm handgun and approximately 1.2 million cash were recovered as part of the investigation, with 680,000 discovered in just one vehicle, which was stopped by officers in Sheffield. The investigation, which was led by officers of the East Midlands Special Operations Unit, uncovered those involved in facilitating, supplying and delivering illegal drugs and tracked the movement of large quantities of criminal money throughout the UK. Such was the evidence of their criminal activities that 13 of the gang pleaded guilty before trial and were handed the following sentences at Derby Crown Court on Friday, December the 6th. Jake Roderick, 24, formerly of Keswick Drive, Newbold, was jailed for conspiracy to supply Class A drugs, conspire to conceal, disguise, convert, transfer, remove criminal property, possession of a firearm without a certificate, and possession of ammunition without a certificate. He received 16 years. Leon Wagstaff, 30, formerly of Queen Street, Brimington, conspiracy to supply Class A drugs and conspire to conceal, disguise, convert, transfer, remove criminal property. He received 9 years and 4 months. Orrington Smith, 35, formerly of Samuel Close, Sheffield, was jailed for conspiracy to supply Class A drugs for 6 years and 8 months. Micah Hibbert, 27, formerly of Weekland Crescent, Sheffield, was jailed for conspiracy to supply Class A drugs and possession with intent to supply Class B, and he was sentenced to 5 years and 3 months. Kyle Rayworth, 36, of Woodhouse, Sheffield, was jailed for conspiracy to supply Class A drugs for 6 years and 10 months. Luke Mills, 38, of Shuttlewood Road, Bolsover, conspiracy to supply Class A drugs, and he received 6 years and 10 months. Andrew Brocklehurst, 30, of Welfare Avenue, Chesterfield, was jailed for conspiracy to supply Class A drugs for 4 years. Nathan Hitchcock, 26, formerly of Epping Grove, Sheffield, was jailed for conspiracy to supply Class A drugs for 5 years and 6 months. Brandon Cudden, 26, formerly of Edinburgh Road, Newbold, was jailed for conspiracy to supply Class A drugs for 4 years and 10 months. Ryan Marshall, 28, formerly of Sands Close, Sheffield, was jailed for conspiracy to supply Class A drugs for 10 months. 7 of the gang denied their part in the drugs operation, but were eventually found guilty by a jury at Derby Crown Court. After a 12-week trial early this year, they were handed the following jail terms. Casey Johnson, 32, formerly of Kirkstone Road, Newbold, Chesterfield, was jailed for conspiracy to supply Class A drugs for 6 years, 10 months. Nicky Haydock, 26, formerly of Harwood Gardens, Sheffield, was jailed for conspiracy to supply Class A drugs for 9 years and 3 months. Tanya O'Brien, 40, of Greenwood Crescent, Sheffield, was jailed for conspiracy to supply Class A drugs and received 6 years and 11 months. Salah Nahar, 27, of St Leonard's Avenue, Harrow, London, was jailed for entering into the concerned acquisition, retention, use or control criminal property. He received 4 years and 3 months. Raza Shan, 34, formerly of Petworth Road, Oldham, was jailed for supplying Class A controlled drug and sentenced at an earlier hearing to 6 years and 8 months. 3 other men will also be sentenced for their part in the drugs. Detective Inspector Tom Bentley, who led the investigation into the group, said, "The jail sentences for this group reflect the really serious harm that they and those like them do to our communities. This was a sophisticated gang who not only profited greatly from their illegal activities, but were also clearly prepared to defend their criminal enterprise with lethal firearms. I hope that these sentences send a clear message to anyone involved in this type of crime that there is no safe place. The police will work across the region and indeed the country to bring you to justice. Please like this video, please comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.